The firmware version in the Edge hardware must be matched with the version of Composer software you are using. The correct firmware for the version of Composer you are using is always distributed with Composer and installed on your hard drive by Composer's installer. If there is ever any doubt, follow these instructions to check your firmware version or to upgrade the firmware. Additionally, the software will notify you if a newer version of firmware is available than what is currently on the hardware. Upgrade firmware hardware settings is located in Composer's hardware menu. Composer will show an error message if the software is unable to connect with the device, similar to when no units have been previously located. Auto Upgrade All Design Units updates the firmware in all located DSP units. The Unit drop-down menu allows you to navigate a system and verify that Composer can communicate with all units. Click the Auto Upgrade button to automatically update the firmware on each device in the system. Tip: Auto Upgrade All Design Units checks the firmware version each unit reports. If the correct version is reported, it moves to the next unit without rewriting the firmware. Only the manual upgrade process rewrites the firmware regardless of version. To manually upgrade, click the Upgrade button and select the most recent firmware files shown in the dialog that opens and click OK. Compiling a design will check for errors in DSP allocation, Dante utilization, and other configuration errors. If a site file compiles in software, it will successfully push to and run on hardware. Occasionally, compile errors can occur as total DSP resources get near their maximum limit. When the site file gets near 100% DSP usage, it is best to perform the compile-only operation often to check for errors. The first solution for a compile error is to adjust the DSP Optimization settings in the Site Preferences dialog in the Tools menu. For DSP Optimization, choose to disable or enable the Delay Compensation feature. Enabling delay compensation will time-align the outputs on each unit. However, this requires additional DSP resources. Edit mode is used for designing the system. When commissioning a system, after the design is complete, it is best to switch to Operate mode. In Operate mode, controls can be adjusted, but the design cannot be changed. In Edit mode, moving wires or modules will drop the system offline. Right-click in an open area of any screen to check or uncheck Edit mode. The meter bar, F7, is located in the View menu and shows the input and output signal level for each channel. The wire meter allows metering of any single wire anywhere in the design by selecting it. When the system is in Edit mode, a left-click selects a wire. When the system is in Operate mode, a right-click selects a wire. The wire meter makes it easy to trace signal flow between modules by visually confirming signal is present where you think it should be present. Another helpful tool for tracing signal flow is the Select Connected Wires function, available when right-clicking on any wire. Selecting connected wires is very helpful to see which wires are connected when there is a lot of split-path wiring common with a heavily distributed signal. By default, Composer adds a unique numeric identifier to every object in a design. This is essential when trying to distinguish modules with similar names and types when browsing lists, such as those in the Remote Control or Presets managers. However, it is still a good idea to further distinguish modules by naming them in a structured manner, such as Output EQ1 instead of the generic Speaker Manager. As noted previously, control screens are useful for only exposing the controls an end user needs to operate the system, while disallowing access to anything they shouldn't touch. However, control screens are also very useful during the commissioning process to consolidate several common-purpose modules on one interface and make a quickly navigable interface for a specific task. For example, you can make a screen that has all of Output 1's EQ, dynamics, and levels on one screen, which would allow you to tune Output 1 without jumping between 3 or more modules. Additionally, similar screens can be made for each system output, and using Control Screen Viewer buttons, you can quickly jump between each output's composite control screen. The Power On control state may be set in the Site Preferences found under the Tools menu. A Simnet system may be configured to power on in one of 3 manners: as set in Archived Site File, Last Known Operating State, or with a specific preset. As set in Archived Site File is used to recall the last configuration pushed to the system when powered on. The last known operating state will power up the system to the state it was in when powered down. The specific preset setting will load the designated preset upon power on. A Mute All Outputs function is available to mute or unmute all outputs of all networked Simnet units. F2 is the keyboard hotkey to control this function, and there is a button under the DSP usage meter in Composer's toolkit. The Mute All Outputs function uses the volume ramp-up time set in the Simnet Composer's application preferences under the Tools menu. Simnet Remote Terminal is an application included with Simnet Composer and available from the Symmetrix website that may be useful for troubleshooting third-party UDP/IP communications. It allows you to send ASCII control protocol commands to an IP address over UDP and receive acknowledgement from the device in a terminal-like window. Simnet Remote Terminal removes all variables of third-party control system configuration or programming to ensure the Simnet hardware is behaving correctly. Always refer to the Simnet Edge Quick Start Guide for important safety instructions. Edge should never be used near water or exposed to dripping or splashing. When installing, ensure ventilation openings are not blocked and Edge units are not racked near heat sources such as radiators, heat registers, or other apparatus, including amplifiers that produce heat. Edge units should always be connected to a main socket outlet with a protective earthing connection. Edge hardware uses a universal input power supply that will automatically adjust to the applied voltage. Ensure that the AC mains voltage is somewhere between 100 to 240 volts AC, 50 to 60 Hz. There are no user serviceable parts inside the hardware. In case of failure, customers inside the U.S. should refer all servicing to the Symmetrix factory. Customers outside the U.S. should refer all servicing to an authorized Symmetrix distributor. Contact information is available online at www.symmetrix.co.